Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Rimini, where we are at the very last round of Swiss. So after this round, we will know who will advance to the top 32 and who will be out. And, well, he has to go to the beach. So that's not too bad.
Could be worse.
I'm joined here by Luke Withington, our resident expert who knows the insides and outsides of pretty much all the popular decks, really.
I try and keep up with
Yeah.
it, yeah.
And he's been providing us with great commentary throughout the day. And it's going to be a homecoming for him because in this round he's going to be covering a match that he also covered in your very first feature match.
Yeah, the very first time that I was on
commentary
stream was in YCS Milan. We had PJ against Robert playing a little feature match.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. The exhibition duel.
The exhibition duel,
Yes.
yeah. So we have Yang Zings. Now, I really like Yang Zings. They were really close to my heart when they first came out. I really wanted to just play them. They were just, they're so cool. I like the way that they're just, you can never get rid of them. That you just keep going and going and going. And sometimes you get to make some really spectacular plays.
Right. Well, the big story of the weekend is, of course, Rimini being one of the nicest places to have a tournament, basically. We got this very nice venue in, I would say, the heart of the city. Then you're getting a little bit closer to the beach. There's a mini skyline of hotels. Right in front of that, you have a couple of pubs and gelato places, which is great. Then you got the beach, and then you got an ocean full of tears of the players that couldn't make it here. So, whatever floats your boat, this is pretty much the perfect place to get your game on. Let's take a look at the deck breakdown that we saw yesterday morning. That is, these are the most played decks. Is there a surprise there? I would say that we were expecting a little bit more Burning Abyss.
Yeah, so with being in the country in which their national champion won with Burning Abyss and was continuing to play Burning Abyss, I was kind of expecting a lot more Burning Abyss here. Just because most of the time people kind of go, oh, our national champion played this, that must be good. Right.
And while Nekroz is leading the field, Shadol is behind with a little bit behind, and then we got like 3 decks that are almost coming up with the same numbers with Burning Abyss, Cleaford, and Satellite. And then throughout the weekend, we have seen that other decks like Cosmo have made an impact and done really, really well. So let's now compare these initial numbers at the start of the tournament to our day 2 breakdown. You can see that Nekroz is still the most popular deck, but it is now roughly 1/3 of the field because we were looking at roughly 300 players. So Nekroz has basically gone up in numbers, showing again that it is a good choice.
Yeah. As far as relativity is concerned, look, I decided to focus on the more the bottom area. So the likes of Cosmo that we saw,
I think that's 50% of all the Cosmo decks.
Over 50% of the Cosmo decks have made it through, whereas like Nekroz went down, you know, over half.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, relative to the
initial breakdown.
Yeah. There's some decks that are really showing that they can stay in there with the big guns.
Right. The other thing is that you can notice is that Cleaford is now ahead of Tellarknights, and those decks were going toe-to-toe initially, so it seems like Cleaford is a better choice than the Tellarknight deck.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for our breakdowns. We're going to take yet another look at that. We had a similar picture at the European Championship and also at the start of the top 32, but in the top 8 we only had one more Nekroz deck remaining, and that was because pretty much all of the other decks were designed specifically to beat Nekroz.
Yeah, and I was expecting this tournament to be slightly different because the Nekroz decks could play a little less to beat themselves, basically. And, you know, I was expecting that to make an impact, but not as much here.
All right, let's take you to the table of Fabio Fenaroli on the left and Giovanni De Aleo on the right. Those are our 2 players that are actually on the bubble. That means the winner is going to be in. He's going to be in the top 32. The loser might be going to the beach instead. So Fabio Fenaroli on the left and Giovanni De Aleo on the right. And our judges are just making sure that the design in the background is looking great.
Yep.
Giving us yet another chance to appreciate those sideburns of Ryan that somebody said earlier. I think everybody on the stream has commented on these at some point.
Yeah, so we're enjoying this here. And there we go. Our message has just got through to say that we're going to start the game. Okay.
All right.
So here we go. Now, this is very interesting. Let's see what happens here with this Yang Zing player. So obviously, Nekroz of Trishula is not very pleasing to the eye when it's banishing a Yang Zing monster, because you don't get the effects there. But we do see Skill Drain being played by Fabio here, which is going to be a really powerful card if he manages to get that in his opening hand, which he does, actually, the first card in his hand.
Okay.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that hand is actually amazing. He has two of his most powerful trap cards, Skill Drain and Yang Zing Creation. For those who don't know, Yang Zing Creation, whenever one of your monsters would be destroyed, when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you get to... No, I don't think it has to be sent to the graveyard. Just when it's destroyed,
you get destroyed by battle or by card effect.
Yeah, you get to go and get a Yang Zing monster straight from your deck and summon it straight away. That doesn't
really sound too bad.
No, that's really good.
Yeah, but the Nekroz deck of Giovanni is kicking things off with a Senju of the 1,000 Hands.
Getting a Bryanak.
Yeah, I was about to say the Senju of the 1,000 Hands showing off us the move that we have seen 1,000 times, which is searching for Bryanak, being discarded, searching for Shred. Yeah, these opening plays, very often they are very, very similar.
Yeah.
All right.
Just discarding the wrong card there, but there we go.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Cycle, discarding Shred, tributing it from his hand to summon the Valkyrus. Now here we go with Valkyrus is summoned and Shred's effect being triggered.
All right, and now are they confirming something, or?
I think he's just searching through his deck. So he's going to go get a Bryanak.
Sometimes it's really hard to make out when you don't see the lower corner.
Yeah,
of the screen.
It's quite strange here that I wonder whether Giovanni knows that his opponent's playing Yang Zings. Otherwise, he's gonna have to assume. Okay, so yeah, he takes the assumption that his opponent's playing Nekroz. Or that's kind of the implication here. He's cleared his field, so he can't be Trishula'd. And yeah, I think that's going to be all she wrote as far as that turn's concerned, or potentially searching with one of the mirrors. But apart from that, then that's going to be it. Okay, so yes, he's going to get that mirror search.
And is that good news or bad news for Fabio?
So yeah, Fabio's just kind of thinking at the moment, okay, I need to make sure that I can play around Trishula. So in this particular case, he does have Skill Drain. Now, that doesn't affect the Yang Zing monsters as much as you might think, because each one of the Yang Zing monsters has a special ability whenever it's used as synchro material.
Right. So at that point, it's no longer on the field.
No, well, it's not that. It's that. So the blue one, Bishi, is used as a synchro material. Then the monster is unaffected by trap cards, so they can use their effects freely under Skill Drain because it's unaffected by trap cards.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and then there's other different Yang Zing monsters that all do different things, but I'm not going to list them all. I'll explain them as they come along.
Right, that makes sense. And how much of a factor is the element of surprise in these games? Is Yang Zing only good when your opponent doesn't know how to play against it?
Yeah, I definitely think that is a factor, as well as the initial. Now, it's a really big deal when you manage to get 2 or more Yang Zing monsters on the field. So, if Fabio manages to set up all his back row, set a monster, and then get Giovanni to attack into it, that's where absolute fireworks just start for the Yang Zing player.
Right, and some guys on our Twitch chat are pointing out that it has an amazing matchup against Cosmo. So there's always the chance that we're going to see more Cosmo with the Cosmo players doing really well today. And then suddenly Yang Zing becomes more of a contender in turn, which is also, I love to see that, this triangle of different decks. How
yeah, so that's exactly what I was expecting him to just set one monster and set those 2 trap cards. Okay,
there's the Pixie, Water of the Yang Zing, Skill Drain, and the Yang Zing Creation.
Yeah, so we can have a look at one of those Yang Zing monsters. They all have spectacular artwork. So Bishi looks like a turtle-looking thing. but he's the blue one. So I usually just remember him by the colors.
Yeah, I mean
as well
that's
as
a
their
good thing.
names.
The most confusing archetypes for me are always those that have like the similar backgrounds.
Yeah,
Like if you have the Fire Kings or something like that, where there's always fire in the background, and you're like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. Well, each one of the Yang Zing monsters is a different attribute, so that kind of works out there.
right.
So
So
here,
here is the skill drain.
yeah, there's the skill drain, and that 1,000 life points is very much worth it here.
Yeah.
But this is immediately alarm bells going off for Giovanni here.
Yeah.
He's going to be thinking, okay, what's going on? What is this deck? This isn't Nekroz.
And also, he's got 0 cards in his main deck, if I'm not mistaken, that can deal with... Oh, actually, he does run 3 Mystical Space Typhoons in his
Yep.
main deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't see those at first, and I thought, like, oh, he's got no answer to it.
Yeah, and Excitonic as well.
Okay.
So, it's actually, yeah, it's super exciting here because he does have Regeki, and now if he plays Regeki, that is, like, I'm not going to overboast how good Yang Zing are. I think they're really good, but that's just me. They have some really powerful moves here, and if he manages to get Rageki'd here, then he can use Yang Zing Creation, which will allow him to summon 2 Yang Zing monsters. So another effect of all the Yang Zing monsters, whenever they are destroyed by battle or by card effect, they get to special summon another one that it's not the one that has just been destroyed.
Right.
Whereas Yang Zing Creation doesn't have that restriction. It can summon whatever one it wants, in whatever position it wants. Yeah. So they have some positional restrictions as well, based on which one of the Yang Zing monsters is destroyed. But again, we'll talk a bit about that when it actually happens.
It basically sounds like all of those drawbacks are not much of a drawback.
No, there's not much drawbacks. The kind of the most difficult thing about Yang Zings is that they can miss timing. That's kind of a rules-based thing. That if a monster's trigger isn't the last thing to happen in a chain with certain wording on the card, so in this case, Yang Zings have the words "when you can" written on them. That means that if they're not the last thing to happen, then they don't get their effect. Now that's something that people usually choose to take advantage of, to play around them, which is the biggest drawback for them. So here we see
the kaleidoscope.
The kaleidoscope play for Unicorn.
Yeah, that's the short version. The kaleidoscope play. And what is going through Giovanni's head right here?
I think he's thinking Burning Abyss.
Yeah, he doesn't know yet that he's playing against Yang Zing.
This looks like Burning Abyss to me right now. They play Skill Drain.
And what do you do specifically against Burning Abyss?
I think you make the same play that you would make against Yang Zings, which is overlay into Abyss Dweller. It's going to be on 2,200 because of its effect, and then you just attack into that and use the effect to stop that monster getting its effect when it's sent to the graveyard. But that's not going to be all she wrote. He's going to be able to use Yang Zing Creation even if he doesn't get to use the Yang Zing monster's effect. And what's even better is there is a Yang Zing monster that has the same attack points as Abyss Dweller.
Okay,
so
he has an attack.
So he's going to be able to do that.
No Dweller. And now he knows that it's going to be Yang Zing.
Yeah, so there's actually nothing he can do about this right now.
Yeah. I mean, not to be super nitpicky, but I think the order of what happened on the field is a little bit confusing, with him flipping the monster over first, indicating that we're in the damage step.
Nope. You can play Yang Zing Creation in the damage step.
Oh, okay. That's
So,
interesting, because I didn't think so. It was a continuous trap card.
Yeah, as long as continuous traps triggers met, then you can play it, and as long as the trigger is.
All right, so that's some useful advice. So you don't have to give away. I mean, giving it away before the damage step doesn't really make much of a difference, but still.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. 2 special summons.
Yeah.
Courtesy of both the effect of the destroyed monster, that was a Pixie,
Yeah.
and then also of Yang Zing Creation. And suddenly, that's interesting. After an attack, Fabio is ahead.
He's doubled the monsters that were there before.
It's not what you usually get to see.
So again, I'm going to try and explain these as we see them. So Swanee is the fire element.
So she's
Yang Zing.
the red one.
Yep, and Swanee is the biggest Yang Zing attack monster that isn't
Synchro monster.
Isn't the synchro monster or higher than 4 stars, because there is also a Tao T. And Swanee's got the effect that when it's used for a synchro summon, that the monster gains 500 attack and defense points. Now, Chaiwen's kind of a special case. It doesn't have an effect when it's synchroed, but if another Yangzing monster is destroyed while it's in the graveyard, you can activate its effect and it gets summoned straight to the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it gets removed from the field, it gets banished. So, and then another quick thing to talk about these is that each one of the non-tuner, so that's a tuner, Chaiwen.
Right.
Each one of the non-tuner Yangzing monsters have the effect of when they are when it's during your opponent's turn, during the main phase or battle phase, you can activate the effect, and then when that effect resolves, you perform a synchro summon using Yangzing monsters on your side of the field.
Yeah, like during the opponent's turn, a little bit like
forming the synchron.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
And
that is being negated by skill drain right now.
Is it even a good idea to attack into a monster here?
Yeah, the best way to deal with Yangzings is to make something that's going to negate their effects and then go hell for leather. Okay, he's going to play Regeki. So at this point, he's probably thinking, okay, I'm just going to try to get as many of these guys out of the way as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But
is he like shooting his own leg this way?
Yes, very much so. Yangzings have a spell card named Yangzing Path that you target 3 Yangzing monsters in your graveyard, put them in your deck, and then you draw 2 cards.
But you can also tell by the fact that Giovanni is picking up every card that is coming along here.
Yeah, and now he's rereading that. I think
he's not familiar with how the deck works.
Yeah, I think that he thought that if he destroyed that, he wouldn't be able to summon another one because
once per turn or something, or skill drain maybe. Yeah,
but the actual restriction is that each one of them can only activate their effects once per turn. It's not that they can be summoned once per turn.
Right.
So, yeah, and basically what happened there, I said earlier that they can't summon themselves. Each one of those Yangzing monsters went on chain and then summoned the other one.
Yeah. So basically that was like one of the least effective Raigekis we've ever seen.
Yeah, he played Raigeki.
I mean, I remember one Raigeki.
Yeah.
I remember one Raigeki that was like felt a little bit more wasted, and that was when Apocrypha towers were on the field and Alpai wanted to get rid of it with Raigeki. That was pretty much the only time I remember where Raigeki did do.
So here we go. This is super interesting. He's going to go into his battle phase, and I think he's going to just crash that Bian into Unicorn. I think that's going to happen.
All right. Well, why would you do that?
Because he's going to want to. So he's going to get to summon 2 monsters from this attack. So he's only going to take a few life point damage here, and then he's going to get to use the effect of Chaiwen, the effect of Bian, and the effect of Creation. All those are available to him now.
Okay.
So Creation and Bian. I don't think he's going to use Chaiwen. That would be too much. But he's going to be able to look for some kind of synchro play that he can make. Yeah, okay, so that's actually 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is going to be a Trishula that is unaffected by spells, traps, and gains 500 attack and defense points.
What?
Yeah. or so it's either that or it's going to be Chaofeng. So it's more likely to be Chaofeng. I was just kind of wishing. but still, so if he summons Chaofeng here? Yeah, so
there we go.
Chaofeng is so important right now, and this is insane.
Yeah, let's read it together.
So Chaofeng says, let me give a quick explanation of what Chaofeng does. For each one of the worm monsters that were used for its synchro summon, it will turn into an imprisoning mirror of that type. So at this point, his opponent can't play any effects of water, wind, fire, or dark monsters.
Okay. That sounds not bad.
Yeah, so, and it's also unaffected by trap cards, spell cards, and it gains 500 attack and defense. So it's on 3,300 attack points and 2,700 defense points. And it's just basically stopping everything.
Whoa, talk about a heavy hitter.
Yes. So I'm just going to...
There's an upstart goblin.
I'm just going to double check that I got all of the effects there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't play the... I got that one. When this synchro summon monster is destroyed, you can add a tuner from your deck to your hand. And then once per turn, when this card, so when Chaofeng destroys one of your opponent's monsters, you can special summon one worm-type monster from your deck in defense position whose original attribute is the same as the monster it destroyed.
Right.
So if it destroyed a Unicorn here, then he would be able to summon Bishi from his deck.
Yeah, that makes sense. If he has another one, I'm not even sure. I mean, he's got one Big C in hand, and then another one in the graveyard, I think.
Yeah, you'd probably play 3 Bishis.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Yeah, so
He does, yes.
I think Giovanni just can't play any cards right now.
And the question is, of course, did he arrive at the same conclusion?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
we'll see.
he did upstart Goblin, so now he does have a number of options. It looks like a pretty good hand, generally speaking.
Yeah, yeah, but so the key part to note here is that Skill Drain is on the field, but Chao Feng's effect is not negated because it was created with Bishi,
Right.
the blue Yang Zing monster.
Mm-hmm.
And these effects that I was listing off,
They are all stacking, so to speak.
yeah, they stack up. So it was made with 4 different Yang Zing monsters, and each one of those, apart from the Tuna monster, gives it an effect.
Yeah. If you were to put markers on the card to indicate that it has yet another effect, you wouldn't see any of the card anymore because there are so many markers on top of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, and like you said, the game is basically over.
Well, the key part to note here is that it only negates activated effects, if I am correct. Your opponent can't activate effects with the same attribute. So that's quite key because if Skill Drain gets removed from the field here, then Unicorn will be negating Chao Feng continuously, which will stop its effects. That is negating effects.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is an opening here,
Mm-hmm.
but is that the only way?
Let me just go over his deck list. I'm going to make sure there's no Infernoid Decatron in here, just to make sure. There's, by the looks of it, so there is 3 Mystical Space Typhoons. Torrential Tribute is here, but that does nothing because it's unaffected by trap cards.
Right.
I think that's about it. So yeah, the best out to this is having a Unicorn on the field while Mystical Space Typhooning the Skill Drain. That's
pretty much it.
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right.
Or he can get over it by summoning Decisive. No, Decisive Armor would. Yeah, Decisive Armor would do it. That would be a crash. Both of them would be destroyed.
All right. So good position for Fabio Fenaroli, who might not be aware of the fact that he's looking down something that he might not be able to beat. I mean, he still has 2 Unicorns in hand, so even if the one on the field is going to leave play.
Yeah, and they're not difficult to summon.
Yeah. And so he needs an MST Unicorn and then yet another card to deal with everything, basically.
So we see here that Fabio actually has a Dark Hole face down. He can just play Dark Hole, and some might go, oh, well, Chao Feng, you don't want to destroy your Chao Feng. But it was made with a Pulao, which is the green Yang Zing monster, which means it's unaffected by spell cards.
All right. Unaffected by spells. Not unaffected by traps.
Yeah, it's unaffected by traps as well.
It is unaffected by traps.
Yeah, traps, spells, and it's gaining 500 attack and defense. That's all the effects that it has right now.
And
so this is another really fun thing here. So he just set one of his own Yang Zing monsters before playing Dark Hole.
That's a Pixie, yeah, water, the blue one.
Oh, he's gonna get Chai Wen, and he's gonna be able to get Bayan, and he's gonna make a Herald of the Arclight, which is gonna make like that. I don't know. A lot of people
get ready for it, guys.
Yeah, Luke
is getting excited.
Sorry, this is fantastic. It's one of the best plays. So the Herald of the Arclight, when it gets to the field, a lot of people just see it as the fodder for Kaleidoscope.
Mm-hmm.
But what it actually does, it's just Solemn Judgment on legs.
It is an actual card.
Yeah. So yeah, it's either going to be that, or he's going to try and make a full 9,000, full 7,500 damage here.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Both of these options sound fine to me, to be honest.
Yeah, but even if he didn't have any of these things, having a Chao Feng on the field that's pretty much indestructible.
All right, there are the attacks.
Yeah. So
after the dust has settled, Giovanni is gonna he's gonna wait for a little bit until the dust has settled because it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, so he can just sink out into a Herald of the Arclight, and again, Skill Drain wouldn't affect Herald of... It would affect Herald of the Arclight, but it wouldn't affect its activated effect, because it tributes itself. So here we go.
700 life points remaining for Giovanni.
Yeah, so this Herald of the Arclight is just... It's about as invincible as you can get. It's unaffected. It's unaffected by battle. That's what Bayan does. So, yeah, he can't even attack over it and then make a play to try and affect the Chaofeng. Whatever he does right now is just going to be negated. Also, any cards that get sent from the hand or deck, I think it is, to the graveyard get banished while under Herald of the Arclight. But that is under Skill Drain right now.
The bottom line is Fabio Fenaroli has all the momentum in this match.
Yeah, well, it's not even momentum. He's just become a massive brick wall. So, you know, Giovanni can try and gain as much momentum as he wants, but he's just going to smash straight into this wall that is Chaofeng.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. He's scooping it up.
He's like, okay, this is it. Finally, he's come to an agreement with you and says, all right, there's like nothing I can do. That was game one, and then that is very, very convincing fashion for Yang Zing, showing us that if you allow them to summon 4 monsters to the field, which sounds like I'm making fun of this deck, but no, I'm not. They can do that quickly. If they can summon 4 monsters to the field, they can then assemble another monster that is basically indestructible. A little bit like Apocryphal Towers. Maybe, I think even better than Apocryphal Towers. But,
yeah, it's especially against Nekroz, if you manage to create that with Bishi, is just crazy.
Right. And slowly but steadily, the first few results are coming in. And of course, as always, we have players at the event who are exchanging information with guys at home who then write it down on the stream, on streaming commentary on Twitch. So it appears that Eugen Hyde is the first player in the top 32, or one of the first players at least. But as always, you're going to see all of those informations, all the standings, in the written coverage of the event. So just right below this Twitch stream, you can click on the written coverage, and there you're going to find lots and lots of information, duelist interviews. You can find the breakdowns that we talked about going into this match, standings after the last round, of course, so you can see who still has a shot at making it. Quick questions, deck features, yes, plenty of things to watch.
Yeah, so let me just talk a little bit about that lock that was put in place there while we're having some side decking.
Right.
So the effects that stopped Chaofeng being affected by trap cards and spell cards and things like that, those all just happen, and the condition is kind of placed on that monster. So Skill Drain can't affect that regardless. They don't get included with Chaofeng's effect. They just get like added to the card, but it can't be affected by Skill Drain.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that Unicorn would get him out of the lock there was, if Skill Drain wasn't on the field, then Unicorn's continuous effect would be able to negate Chaofeng's continuous effect to stop the water monsters being able to activate. Sorry, it's quite a confusing little situation.
Yeah, but it's such a powerful monster. And really, how do you combat that? I mean, he's already playing 3 Mystical Space Typhoons in the main deck. What else is going to go into the main deck to help him?
Yeah, so...
He's got Typhoon.
Typhoon, very likely. Royal Decree, big one. Royal Decree is a really big one for this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you can even get it a bit later on to stop creation happening. But apart from that, Mirror Force as well. So again, a lot of people immediately might think, oh, Mirror Force against these Yang Zing monsters, they just replace themselves. Surely that's not very good. I'll refer back to the ruling that I was talking about. If they get destroyed at Chainlink 2 or higher, then the last thing to happen was not them being destroyed, so they don't get their effects. So Mirror Force is kind of good because you can do something and then play Mirror Force.
Right.
And they don't get any of their effects, which is
What would be the do something and activate an MST first?
Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yeah. Anything else?
Double Mirror Force, Typhoon, play a Max C, then play Mirror Force. I know Max C wouldn't be useful, but it's just adding something to the chain to...
But that is assuming that Giovanni is aware that the last thing to happen needs to be the the effect activation. So this is something that plays a major role. If
Yeah.
you're not experienced with a certain archetype, you don't know about these intricate things, which also brings me to another topic, because our move of the day yesterday with Peter Gross using the retaliating C, where we talked about that, where the opponent used a Shadow Fusion, Peter chaining a retaliating C, the opponent chaining L Shadow Fusion, and Peter chaining a second retaliating C. It turns out that at least at this point in time, I spoke to a couple of judges, at this event it would have been ruled the following way, that retaliating C, the same card, could be activated twice in that one chain.
Yep.
So somebody, if you only have one copy of retaliating C, your opponent activates a Shadow Fusion, you chain it, he then activates an L Shadow Fusion, you can just say, okay, I'm going to chain that very same retaliating C again, and that's a very, very big deal.
Yep.
Because suddenly you only need one card to easily counter two of your opponent's cards.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so here we see him playing Nekroz. Now a lot of people might think, well, hold on, their effects are activating in the grave all the time. Chaiwen's summoning itself in the grave. Are any of these affected by Nekroz? The answer is certainly not. They all summon a different monster from the deck, which isn't affected by Nekroz. Nekroz only affects effects that try and move a card
From the graveyard.
to
To a different zone.
Yeah, apart from when the card is itself.
Yeah.
So Chaiwen that moves itself, that's totally fine.
Also effects like Sangan and so on, they all work under Necro Valley. If
Yeah.
something activates in the graveyard, as long as it doesn't try to move another card out of the graveyard, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one MST, I would say the most important card for Giovanni.
Yeah, he has a Typhoon as well.
And he used the MST on the face-down MST that Fabio had. Now he's left with only a Typhoon to take out that Necro Valley.
So that's kind of interesting. I don't know whether he's consciously made that decision, but this means that he can't commit to a Trishula play this turn, because his only other... Oh, no, sorry, he has another Mystical Space Typhoon, is he?
Yeah, he's got a... Oh, yes. No, I think the app hasn't been updated. Oh, no, actually he has 6 cards in hand, so yes, it makes sense. He does have another Typhoon. And, well, MST...
And a Mystical Space
yeah,
Typhoon.
he's got
Okay.
a Mystical Space Typhoon and a Typhoon. Sorry for that, guys.
This is kind of... I don't want to use the word perfect, but it's really ideal here for Giovanni, because...
Oh, yeah, I don't want to use the word perfect, so I'm using a synonym for perfect.
Yeah, well, perfect means 100%, whereas ideal is kind of...
99.5?
99.5, exactly.
All right.
Exactly, so he's got double MST and Typhoon. That's not going to be very beneficial for our Yang Zing play here. So he is going to be able to play Mystical Space Typhoon and play Trishula, which is going to take 2 cards. That's going to leave Fabio down to 1 card in hand.
Yeah.
However...
You mentioned earlier that the Necro Valley usually foils Trishula, but with that second Mystical Space Typhoon, yeah. It's no longer the case.
However, there is a max C here. So, yeah, I think possibly still we're going to only end up with 1 card left in hand.
Despite the max C.
Despite the max C.
So lots and lots of searches going on for Giovanni.
Yep.
This is, I mean, the MST would have helped, of course, but this is one of those situations where you hope for a mistake that can immediately shut down the Nekroz deck.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be over really, really quickly.
All right, so you're saying we're going to a 3rd game.
Yep.
And this, you can't help but feel sorry for Fabio Fenaroli, who assembles this gigantic Yang Zing monster, the Chao Feng, in the first game, shows everybody, hey, this is a real deck, so to speak. And then the second game, the 2 MSTs are foiling his plans, stopping him dead in his tracks.
Yep. So there's Trishula.
Yeah. Draws a card for Max C, and now he's going to get Trishula. He had a Big C Water of the Yang Zing in hand. After he drew for the turn, he has another card that we might see before it gets banished.
It
was an MST.
He drew a Mystical Space Typhoon from Maxi.
So he's left with a Big C Water of the Yang Zing in hand, and that is it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's not much.
No.
Very factual, yeah.
There's not much to be said about this, I'm afraid.
There's a Valkyrus waiting in a Typhoon, so Giovanni Di Aleo, not only does he have the field, he also has something in hand.
The only hope here, if that is a Yang Zing creation, really.
Yeah, we don't know quite yet.
No. But still,
Where's the second card coming from, by the way?
He drew it.
Ah,
He drew
okay,
it for
sorry,
turn.
of course. There we go. The easiest things are eluding me. All right, so Giovanni did draw into a Raigeki.
Yeah,
That is...
I don't know why Giovanni didn't set Typhoon here. That's quite strange. Okay, so that's I think Giovanni immediately. I don't know whether I want to say that was okay. No, okay. Yep, that was a creation. And he
Wow.
just made a mistake.
Talk about a top deck.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's like... That was the best card he could draw. Am I right? Or am I right?
Yeah, that was probably the best situation he could have had there.
Wow. Okay, so suddenly Fabio Fenaroli is coming back. He survived one Trishula. Giovanni is playing one Trishula only. So as long as the Trishula stays on the field, he's not going to get Trishula'd again. Doesn't sound like a very important statement, but sometimes that can be a very big difference maker. So suddenly Fabio seems to be like at least somewhat in this again. Still 3,900 life points, not too bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, Yang's in creation here. He's gone and set that Typhoon.
It would have been quite good actually to activate that before advancing to the damage step, for example.
Well, he wouldn't have been able to do that.
No, I mean if he would have activated it, set it in his very first turn.
Yeah, still, it can only destroy face-up ones, I think. Or is it not? Am I just crazy?
Yes, you're right. Target one face up. Yeah, good point. I just looked at the fact that it's a trap card, and that's pretty much, yeah. Okay, so this time Fabio trying to attack and getting a extra activation out of Yangzing creation, but that's not going to happen thanks to Typhoon.
Yeah.
But he still gets to search something else for the effect of the destroyed monster.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The best scenario here possibly is to go into Tauti, attack over the Senju, wait till the opponent's turn, and then synchro during their battle phase into a Goyo Guardian. Or just not. None of that. Well, still, a 5. What can he make with a 5? Amades.
He's getting yet another monster out.
Oh, he must have drawn that for turn. But okay, so here's Trishula.
He's showing his opponent like this is the real Trishula. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here's a Trishula. Well, there you go. So the irony of Trishula banishing itself is infinite here.
Yeah.
So, remember when I was saying about not having to worry about leaving cards on the field?
Wow.
Well,
it's basically like, well, you Trishula me, I Trishula you back. And
that
wow.
that Trishula is actually on 3-2 as well.
Yeah.
because of Swanee. Okay.
That's a comeback. Oh. This time the Raigeki is doing a lot more than before. But also, Giovanni is now out of cards as well. He's only left with the Senju of the 1,000 Hands.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no, I take that back, sorry.
He's got a cycle.
That cycle just popped in.
Yeah. We are left in a simplified game state now, which Yangzings play pretty well under.
Yeah, I
when
like
they draw Swanee.
Yeah, I like to call it the top deck situation.
Yeah. So I don't think he can play. He just drew a Valk, if I saw correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, so you draw out. There's nothing to be done in this turn. He just has to pass.
He can defend his life points if he has to.
Oh, wow. Top decked the Yangzing Pot of Avarice. So he gets to put back 3 of his monsters back to his deck.
This series
and
of plays
draw 2 cards.
is amazing. First he's going for Trishula. He finds a monster from the top of his deck, then Yangzing Path.
Right, okay, so if Fabio just sets 2 after drawing 2 cards here, that is going to be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Like, wow. That was an insane top deck.
Okay, he attacks, tying, not quite tying, but getting closer to a tie of the life points. 5,000 remaining for Giovanni Dialeo.
Okay, so he must have drawn 2 monsters. What did he get? Yeah, so he just drew 2 monsters.
Yeah, Gio Chiao 2, Darkness of the Yangsing, and Big C.
So he set Bixie, did
Yep,
he?
he did.
Bishi even.
And then we
Wow,
got
okay, that's really bad.
wow, another Valkyrus. It's definitely not the card you want to draw into here.
Yeah.
So Fabio Fenaroli slowly but steadily picking apart the life points of Giovanni Di Aleo.
Yeah, I don't understand why he
Doesn't use the Valkyrus.
didn't know why he didn't flip up both of those monsters, because then he could have synchroed into Bashir during his opponent's end phase. But anyway, he's probably going to go Bashir now. Yeah, so this Bashir is going to be on 2-8. There we go. Yeah, there's Bashir. So for every Yang Zing monster that was used for Bashir's summon, he gets to choose a card on his opponent's side of the field and return it to his deck. And it's also unaffected by trap cards, so I'm going to have to run through this really quickly because he's about to win. And then Bashir can target a monster on the field, another Yang Zing monster on the field. It gets destroyed, and he gets to resummon a Yang Zing monster. Also, he gets the effect of Jiaotu at the same time as Bashir's effect, and he gets Chaiwen's effect because a Yang Zing monster was destroyed.
Why is this not? Why can you not stop it with Nekroz or Valkyrus?
Well, yeah, he can, but we're basically seeing him make this unstoppable field again.
Yeah, no. I mean, that part I get.
So,
I'm just because you're like, he's about to win.
Yeah. Okay, so he's going to go into another 8. He could have gone into Herald of the Arclight, and then that would have stopped Valkyrus. That was the where I thought he was going with that. So that set card's going back to his deck. Also, I don't know if he actually has any Nekroz cards in his graveyard.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Because he was banishing a lot of them.
There's a Valkyrus.
Okay, so there is Valkyrus, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't have
He
any
doesn't
Nekroz
have one.
cards.
Jesus. Okay, you were correct. And yes, he is winning this one because the opponent doesn't have any Valkyries, any Nekroz cards in the graveyard. Wow!
Yang Zing 2-0 against
2-0 over Nekroz. And in the top 32, congratulations to Fabio Fenaroli. What a showing, honestly. That was one of the coolest matches we've ever seen.
Yeah.
With that first game, putting that gigantic monster on the field.
Yep.
And then the second game had like a lot of wow moments where you're like, gee, what would happen?
Casual Trishula.
Yeah, casually coming back from a Trishula of your opponent by just throwing your own on the field. After that, getting into a top deck scenario where both players need to find something from the top of the deck.
And so we have a guy at our locals. We say to him all the time, he doesn't actually play and do the whole like luck-based drawing thing. He just draws the cards he wants to play each turn. And I think that's exactly what happened just here.
Right.
He drew a Swani. That's the most powerful Yang Zing monster you can possibly ask for in this situation.
Then Yang Zing Creation.
Then Creation, and then Pot of Avarice. Well, Yang Zing Path, the Pot of Avarice.
Yang Zing Pot of Avarice.
Yeah.
Wow. And he also had only like less than 2,000 life points in those situations. So it wasn't like, there was a comfortable win or anything. There was real excitement here.
Yeah, wow.
And also the opponent like dropping a Valkyrus and then realizing, oh, okay,
yeah, I did think it's something that you have to keep track of while you're playing Nekroz, and it was like, I did think he didn't have anything left.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to apologize for anybody who didn't catch me explaining really quickly at the end there what happened. There's a lot to explain in Yang Zings. They do quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but the more the merrier. That's basically what is true for these effects of these monsters.
Yeah.
Very, very cool deck. I gotta say, it's very exciting to watch, in my opinion. And almost all of the rogue decks that we have seen this weekend did really well. Cosmo was winning every time somebody brought it to the feature match table.
Yep.
Yang Zing just won. Well, okay, Magical Explosion didn't do so well. It basically exploded in its own face.
Yep.
Not that fun. For the opponent, it was quite interesting. It was like, you're doing a lot of things and then you're shuffling up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, wow. Right. We have a number of players that are well known, that have done well before, who might be making it into the top 32. So you're gonna, I think we didn't like forcefully try and always have the same faces on the stream that we've had a couple of times before. We were always looking out for interesting deck like Yang Zing and then say, okay, let's see if we can bring that to the table.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. We are continuing that way in the top 32. If we know that somebody is playing the only Ignite deck in the top 32, for example, we would most likely be featuring him.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, we got something like the meeting of the Masters, something like Joshua Schmidt versus Federico Soppini, because that is always entertaining to watch. And those would be some cool, interesting matches. Speaking of Federico Soppini, he's my pick for the winner of this event. You finally picked somebody as well.
I did. I finally picked somebody. So I've gone with Peter Gross.
Yeah.
Our Cosmo champion.
Cosmo champion, yeah. But you guys saw it's one of 17 guys that made it to day 2 with Cosmo. I got this very little note right here that tells me that there's also an Infernoid player who is, I think he lost the last round against Sona Günger, who is of course playing Nekroz, being one of those players. He might not make it with Infernoid, but there's a very good chance that he comes extremely close. Then we got another player who's going up against Piranaski. He played Tellarknights in the last round. So as you can see, different decks have a very strong chance. And then, at least in day 2, even though they might not make the top 32, was a Gravekeeper deck and yet another Ignite deck.
And I've just got a couple here. So I've got one Harpy player in the last round. Yeah, exactly. We don't know how he's done. And then I also have our Yang Zing player that we've just featured written on my shiny bit of paper.
So you can see the format is somewhat wide open. There are not just these 5 decks at the top with Nekroz followed by Shadow, Burning Abyss, Tellarknights, and well, what was the 5th? It wasn't Ritual Beast. Tellarknights and it's eluding me. Clifford, of course. Thank you. And then after that, we have a couple of other decks like Ritual Beasts. We have still a little bit of Yusenyu, a little bit of Yang Zing, a little bit of Cosmo. So there are a couple of viable choices for this tournament.
Wide variety.
Right. In case you're wondering when is the next feature match going to be live on the stream, well, the thing is, first of all, we need all results. That's going to take a little while. Then the scorekeeper is going to prepare the standings after Swiss. If you've never been in a tournament, this might be some interesting information for you guys. And the players can then check those standings and make sure that their record is the correct one. Because sometimes somebody was entering the wrong winner or something like that. They get like 5 minutes to confirm those standings. And after those 5 minutes, their standings are final. So basically everybody who didn't say anything against the standings voiced their silent agreement that they are fine with those standings. After that point, we can start pairing the top 32. Because all of this is taking a little bit of time, there's a very good chance that we're going to be offline for, well, we are going to be offline, but you're going to watch something else because we got cool pre-recorded content like interviews with players in those like 15 minutes in between rounds.
And so we're not just going to go and put our feet up for the next several minutes.
No, we never do that.
Every single round, we're always out there looking for these decks to feature here, and we're going to go and have a look and see what's in our top 32 here at YCS Rimini.
Right. One thing I want to highlight, because I saw that this aired during those 2 matches that we just had, is this red envelope story. Because we're going to have a new tournament series, the LLDS, the Local Legend Duelist series. This is Matt's baby. Sorry, Jenny, he had it with his job instead of with you. It's a brand new tournament series that's going to start starting September. So very, very soon coming to a store near you. In case your local tournament organizer is not aware of it yet and he's running other tournaments like the Sneak Peeks, get in touch with him and tell him, yes, I want to have this tournament at our home. Depending on the size of the country, how many players we got in the country, there are a couple of like championships that are basically not local but like regionals. So let's say Italy is a very big country. We got like 5 of these, for example, 1 in Milan, 1 in Rimini, 1 in the south, and so on. And to qualify for these regional championships, you first need to win at your local tournament. You can win a playmat there, which is cool, at the local tournament. And if you win the larger event that you have to qualify for, you're going to walk away with a prize card. And that prize card used to be a YCS prize card. So it's a cool prize card, a really good card. I tried to steal it earlier. You might have seen that in the interview. 80 wouldn't let me get away with it, so I need to enroll in this tournament as well. Right. That's one of the most exciting news for this weekend. With that, I think we've given you enough information to think about. All of that will be up on the website. That's it for now. We're going to be back with the top 32 as soon as possible, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere.
It's time to It's time to It's time to Now is the time. Now is the time. Hey, hey, why you were pondering the ozone? I'm trying to get into the end zone. You won't be anything without the chips. Your lips are quivering. The time has come. Time to do